We've all been there. Big dreams, grand visions, but somehow the couch feels more appealing than the climb. You're ambitious, sure, but you're also, well, a little lazy. The good news? The Japanese have mastered the art of achieving more by doing less. Their cultural wisdom is built on small, sustainable actions rather than exhausting bursts of motivation. These 8 tiny habits require minimal effort but deliver maximum results. They're perfect for anyone who wants to level up their life without burning out or relying on willpower they don't have. Let's explore how ancient Japanese wisdom can help modern lazy but ambitious souls finally make progress. 1. Kaizen. The 1-minute improvement rule. Kaizen, meaning continuous improvement, is perhaps Japan's most famous productivity philosophy. But here's what most people get wrong. It's not about massive overhauls or dramatic transformations. It's about improvements so small they feel almost embarrassingly easy. The beauty of Kaizen for the lazy but ambitious is that it removes the intimidation factor entirely. Want to write a book? Commit to writing for just 1 minute per day. Want to get fit? Do 1 push-up. Want to learn Japanese? Study 1 word. This sounds absurdly simple because it is. The psychology behind it is brilliant. Starting is the hardest part, but once you've begun, you'll usually continue beyond your minimum. That 1 minute of writing often becomes 10. That single push-up turns into 5. But even if it doesn't, you've still made progress. Over a year, those tiny daily actions compound into something substantial. Japanese companies like Toyota built their global dominance on this principle. They didn't revolutionize overnight. They made countless tiny improvements day after day. You can do the same with your life, and it requires almost zero motivation to maintain. 2. Hara Hachi Bu. Stop at 80%. The Okinawan practice of Hara Hachi Bu teaches us to eat until we're 80% full rather than stuffed. This isn't just about physical health. It's a metaphor for life that the ambitious but lazy crowd needs to embrace. We've been conditioned to believe that success requires giving 110%, working until exhaustion, and pushing beyond our limits. But this approach leads to burnout, and let's be honest, it's exhausting just thinking about it. The Japanese wisdom of stopping at 80% is revolutionary for lazy people because it gives you permission to not go all out. Apply this to your work. Instead of perfecting every project until you're drained, aim for 80% completion. Ship it, share it, move on. Most people won't notice the difference between 80% and 100%, but you'll notice you have energy left for other projects. This habit is particularly powerful because it acknowledges a truth lazy people already know. Perfectionism is procrastination in disguise. By accepting good enough, you'll actually accomplish more than the perfectionist who's still refining their first attempt while you're on your 5th finished project. 3. Ikigai. Find your lazy purpose. Ikigai, your reason for being, sounds profound and potentially exhausting to discover. But the lazy person's approach to Ikigai is wonderfully simple. What can you do easily that others find difficult? You don't need to climb a mountain or meditate for weeks to find your Ikigai. Instead, notice what activities make time fly for you while others consider them work. That's your sweet spot. Maybe you can organize chaos effortlessly, or you naturally explain complex topics simply, or you have an eye for design that requires no effort. The ambitious but lazy person's advantage is that they naturally gravitate toward high-impact, low-effort activities. You're not going to waste energy on things that feel like pulling teeth. By identifying your natural strengths and interests, you align your ambitions with your inherent laziness. When you're operating within your Ikigai, productivity doesn't feel like work. You're being ambitious, but it flows naturally rather than requiring constant motivation. This is the ultimate hack for the lazy person who still wants to achieve something meaningful. 4. Shoshin. Embrace the beginner's mind. Shoshin, or beginner's mind, is the practice of approaching things with openness and lack of preconceptions, even when you're experienced. For the lazy but ambitious, this is liberating because it removes the pressure of having to be immediately good at something. Lazy people often avoid starting new things because they imagine the long, hard journey to mastery. Shoshin says, "Forget mastery, just be curious." This mindset shift is enormous. You're not committing to becoming the world's best guitarist. You're just curious about what sounds you can make with strings. This habit works beautifully with Kaizen. You're a beginner making small, continuous improvements without the weight of expectations. You're exploring, not achieving. This removes the performance anxiety that makes starting feel overwhelming. Japanese culture celebrates the beginner's perspective because it brings fresh insights and creativity. You're not lazy for not being an expert. You're practicing Shoshin. Suddenly, your lack of experience becomes an asset rather than a limitation. You're free to experiment, make mistakes, and learn without judgment. 5. Wabi-sabi. Embrace imperfection. Wabi-sabi is the Japanese aesthetic that finds beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. For perfectionists trying to justify their procrastination, wabi-sabi is the antidote they desperately need. This philosophy teaches that things don't need to be perfect to be valuable or beautiful. That cracked pottery tells a story. That unfinished project? It has character. This perspective is revolutionary for lazy people because perfectionism is often what prevents them from finishing anything. When you embrace wabi-sabi, you give yourself permission to create messy first drafts, launch imperfect products, and share works in progress. The Japanese art of kintsugi, repairing broken pottery with gold, embodies this principle. The breaks and repairs become part of the object's history and beauty. Apply this to your ambitious projects. That blog post with a few typos? Published is better than perfect. That business idea that's 70% thought through? Test it now rather than planning forever. Your handmade gift that's a bit wonky? The imperfection makes it genuine. Wabi-sabi doesn't excuse laziness. It redirects your energy from perfecting to completing. You'll accomplish far more by finishing 10 imperfect things than by perfecting one thing for months. 6. Shinrin-yoku. Forest bathing, the lazy exercise. Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, is the practice of spending time in nature to improve well-being. Notice it's not called forest hiking or forest running. It's bathing, as in, just being there. This is the perfect exercise for lazy but ambitious people because it requires almost nothing from you. You literally just walk slowly through nature, paying attention to your surroundings. No gym membership, no workout gear, no trainer pushing you to do another rep. Studies show that just 20 minutes in nature reduces stress hormones, boosts immune function, and improves focus. For the ambitious person, this means better decision-making and creativity. For the lazy person, this means achieving health benefits while doing something that feels like, well, nothing. Can't access a forest? A park works. Even a tree-lined street counts. The practice is about disconnecting from digital overstimulation and reconnecting with the physical world. You're not exercising. You're just existing in a green space. And yet, the benefits accumulate. This habit acknowledges a truth lazy people know instinctively. Not all valuable activities should feel like effort. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is slow down and do almost nothing. 7. Hansei. Quick daily reflection. Hansei is the practice of self-reflection and acknowledging mistakes. In Japanese business culture, it's a brief moment to consider what went wrong and how to improve. For the lazy person, the key word is brief. You don't need a journaling practice that takes an hour. You don't need to meditate on your failures. Hansei can be as simple as spending 2 minutes before bed asking yourself, what's one thing that didn't go well today, and what's one small change I could make tomorrow? This habit is powerful because it creates a feedback loop without requiring massive effort. You're not overhauling your entire life. You're making tiny course corrections. Over time, these small adjustments compound into significant improvements. The ambitious part of you wants to grow and improve. The lazy part of you doesn't want it to take much time. Hansei is the perfect compromise. It's self-improvement for people who can't be bothered with elaborate personal development programs. Japanese companies use Hansei to continuously improve without blame or lengthy postmortems. You can use it to continuously improve your life without the guilt and overthinking that typically accompany self-reflection. 8. Uboitori. Never compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 20. Uboitori comes from a proverb using the kanji for 4 trees: cherry, plum, peach, and apricot. The meaning: each tree blossoms in its own time and way. You cannot rush spring. For ambitious but lazy people, comparison is poison. You see someone else's success and feel pressure to match it immediately, which feels overwhelming, so you do nothing. Uboitori gives you permission to progress at your own pace. This isn't about lowering your standards or settling for mediocrity. It's about recognizing that your timeline is your own. That entrepreneur who seems to have it all figured out? They've been at it for 10 years. That fit person on Instagram? They started their journey years ago. You're just seeing their highlight reel, not their chapter 1. When you embrace Uboitori, you stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against your yesterday self. This is incredibly freeing for lazy people because it removes the pressure of keeping up with anyone else. You're in your own lane, moving at your own pace, and that's not just okay, it's the only sustainable way forward. This habit pairs perfectly with Kaizen. You're making small improvements compared to your past self, not trying to suddenly match someone else's decade of progress. The ambitious part of you still has goals, but the lazy part of you gets to move toward them gradually, without the anxiety of competition. Putting it all together. These 8 Japanese habits share a common thread. They achieve significant results through minimal, sustainable effort. They're designed for humans, not productivity robots. They acknowledge that willpower is limited, that motivation fluctuates, and that the path to achievement doesn't have to be exhausting. The beauty of these practices is that they work together. Make a tiny Kaizen improvement while embracing your wabi-sabi imperfection. Reflect briefly with Hansei while maintaining your Shoshin curiosity. Find your lazy ikigai while practicing Uboitori patience with your progress. You don't need to adopt all 8 habits at once. That would be very unlazy of you. Pick one that resonates, make it absurdly easy to start, and let Japanese wisdom guide you toward becoming someone who achieves their ambitions without sacrificing their love of efficiency and ease. The Japanese have spent centuries figuring out how to live well without burning out. As an ambitious but lazy person, you're not flawed, you're just waiting for the right approach. These tiny habits might be exactly what you need to finally bridge the gap between who you are and who you want to become, one ridiculously small step at a time. Remember, the goal isn't to transform into a productivity machine overnight. That's the trap ambitious but lazy people often fall into. Big plans, big motivation for 3 days, then nothing. These Japanese habits are different because they're designed for longevity, not intensity. They're the tortoise, not the hare, and we all know how that story ends. Start today with just one habit. Maybe it's writing for 1 minute, Kaizen, or taking a slow walk outside, Shinrin-yoku, or simply acknowledging that your imperfect attempt is better than no attempt at all, wabi-sabi. The smallest action is infinitely more powerful than the grandest intention. Your ambition gives you direction. Your laziness gives you efficiency. These Japanese habits give you the framework to honor both parts of yourself while actually making progress. That's not a compromise. That's wisdom.